The wisdom of the ancient world is deep and sometimes hidden in plain sight. When we look at texts like the Bhagavad Gita, the teachings of Krishna, and even the Bible, we realize they are not isolated or unique in their spiritual teachings. In fact, they share connections that transcend cultures, generations, and religious boundaries. Let's start with Krishna from the Bhagavad Gita. The name Hare Krishna is often chanted, but what do these words mean? Hari refers to the sun, and Krishna can be translated as Christ. When we hear of Sri Krishna, we are essentially hearing the phrase, Christ the King. It is the same story, repeated over and over across ages and cultures. The message of divine wisdom, often forgotten, is always rediscovered as the cycles of time turn. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna instructs Arjuna, who symbolizes our divine personality, teaching us about life and spirit. Anger, for instance, leads to delusion. Once deluded, we lose our memory, and when our memory is lost, our reason shatters. This shattered reason leads to destruction. We've all experienced this. Think about times when we've lost our heads, acting irrationally due to anger or stress. In those moments, we lose our sense of purpose and clarity. Krishna, however, teaches us that self-control is the key to peace. A soul that is self-controlled and moves among sense objects without being attached to or repelled by them attains eternal peace. This self-controlled soul is the meditator, the one who has learned to quiet the restless mind and enter into deep inner peace. Meditation is essential to breaking free from the domination of the mind. The great challenge is that, for many of us, the mind controls us rather than the other way around. We are often dictated by our thoughts and desires instead of us being in charge of them. But now finally, the message of meditation and inner wisdom is being shared more freely, no longer controlled by religious institutions that thrive on guilt, anger, and financial gain. These religious institutions have, for so long, kept people from discovering the divine within themselves. Yet the truth is clear: the kingdom of God is within us. When we discover that truth, the bureaucratic structures of organized religion lose their grip. The established religious orders thrive on control, using guilt, fear, and even money as tools to keep people bound. Krishna's teachings go deeper, explaining that true peace comes only to the self-controlled soul. This peace, however, can only be attained through meditation. It's not something we can force upon ourselves. It's a natural result of centering the mind. As we meditate, we free ourselves from attachment to external objects and desires. We can enjoy things without lusting for them and love others without being afraid or repulsed by them. In many ways, organized religion teaches us to run from what they consider sinful. But isn't it curious that everything considered fun by others is often labeled a sin by religious institutions? People laugh, dance, enjoy life, and these institutions claim it's wrong. Meanwhile, those who follow the religious rules often lead joyless lives, disconnected from the vibrancy of life around them. They wait for some future heaven while ignoring the beauty of the world they inhabit. Krishna's message teaches us to enjoy the world without being trapped by it. It's about balance, learning to live in peace by mastering the mind through meditation. When we meditate, we experience inner peace. And as Krishna explains, when the mind gains peace, right discrimination follows. This means that as we calm our inner world, we begin to see things more clearly. It is only in a state of inner peace that we can make wise decisions and live in alignment with our highest self. Yet look at the world today. How often do we find peace of mind? The chaos of modern life, the constant stress and distraction, all lead people away from peace. Even in ancient times, the sages knew this. Krishna says, "He who cannot meditate cannot expect peace." This was true 6,000 years ago, and it remains true today. There is no such thing as peace of mind without meditation. We often think we'll find peace by escaping to a beach or going on vacation. But even there, the mind follows us, constantly chattering, reminding us of all our unresolved worries. The only way to find true peace is to still the mind through meditation. When we do this, we rise above the storms of life, just as Jesus calmed the storm in the biblical story. In the book of Mark, we see the metaphor of the ship being tossed by a storm. Jesus, representing the Christ consciousness within us, is asleep in the ship, unaware of the chaos until he is awakened. When we meditate, we awaken the Christ within, and he calms the storm, bringing peace to our minds. Krishna echoes this teaching, reminding us that when we detach from the objects of the senses and remain centered, our reason is purified. This is the path to perfection, a state where there is no more inner conflict, no more fear, and no more guilt. In this state of pure consciousness, the Christ is born within us. This is what is meant by the virgin birth. It is not a literal event, but a symbolic one, representing the birth of divine consciousness in a mind free from thought. In this perfected state, the ocean of consciousness within us remains calm, no matter how many rivers of desire flow into it. It remains ever the same, steady and peaceful. Just like a rose which gives off its fragrance without seeking to impress anyone, we too can live in a state of giving, simply by being who we truly are. The world may live for prestige, power, and control, but Krishna teaches us that true peace comes when we are free from these desires. When we meditate, we awaken to our true nature, a nature that is calm, steady, and full of divine light. This light is within each of us. As Jesus said, if your eye is single, your whole body will be filled with light. The single eye, or the pineal gland in the brain, is the gateway to this inner light. And when we meditate and activate this gland, we experience a flood of light and peace within our bodies. Science is beginning to catch up with this ancient wisdom. We now know that the pineal gland secretes melatonin, which has profound effects on our health, including the ability to kill cancer cells. But organized religion has often told us to stay away from such practices. They've warned us not to explore these spiritual teachings, not to meditate, and not to question. But we must question. We must seek the truth for ourselves. We must be like the saint who stays awake while the world sleeps, watching for the coming of the Christ within. Krishna teaches that peace is found when we allow our desires to flow naturally, without becoming obsessed with them. Like rivers flowing into the ocean, we can let life flow through us, remaining peaceful and steady. In conclusion, as we meditate and stir the waters of our consciousness, the sediment of our old thoughts and fears will settle, leaving us with clear, clean water. Life will always stir things up, but if we remain centered through meditation, we can maintain our peace and calm, no matter what happens around us. The truth is within us, and it's up to us to discover it. Never let anyone tell you not to seek or question. Keep looking, keep exploring, and you will find the Christ within yourself. Thank you.